All right. So we're Peggy. Peggy is the secure marketplace to buy and sell investment-grade art. I'm going to give you some quick context, and then I'm going to share 2 nuggets of founder wisdom. This is my second venture, as mentioned, with my same co-founder and CTO, Adam. And we believe that art is important. Artists have messages to share. They're the ultimate observers of society. They catalyze and create change. But sadly, the blue chip art market is fast-paced, but that doesn't scale down to the rest of us. And the reason for that is that the blue chip uses humans to authenticate artwork. So you have this gentleman on the top who's using a magnifying glass to authenticate a piece of artwork. And you have these wonderful humans on the bottom using paper, corded phones, even though this photo is from 2 years ago, and covering their lips so they can't be lip read. And I don't know about you, but if you are in this room and tech savvy, this is not how a tech savvy person necessarily wants to buy artwork. And so at Peggy, we have created an AI that does what the gentleman on the top does, an authentication engine, and we've built an order book system like capital markets for the bottom. And with that, you, a collector, can, or would-be collector, can buy a piece of artwork at a more accessible price point for $3 grand, $5 grand, and then you can sell it on the other side because there's liquidity, and this turns it into an investment. In the way that real estate is an asset you get to enjoy as it's appreciating, art is meant to be that as well. And so with Peggy, you can finally unlock that and enjoy it as it's appreciating in value. So we're a marketplace between galleries, artists, and collectors. We are an app, and I'm going to share with you 2 insights, 2 founder pieces of wisdom. One is how to market size, and the other is how to create a quantified flywheel. So market sizing, we often see a chart, the market is $100 billion. So what I like to do, and I did this at Universe as well, my first venture, is to slice it up. So we've got 2 axes here. One is the kind of the size or category of art, and then the other is primary and secondary. And with this, you can provide yourself and the investors an insight. So within Peggy, the insight was, hey, there's this missing green notch, meaning in the middle market, more affordable artworks, there's this lack of resale that we observed. And so with this, we create a new category, the ability to buy and then later sell artwork. And so this creates an insight, and it also helps you find an area to create value. And we're expanding the market with that green notch. So this is something that worked very well for me at Universe and raising capital, and also at Peggy. The second insight is a quantified flywheel. So we often see a flywheel, kind of like the Uber thing. It's like, more riders means more, access and availability means more drivers, which means more riders, and et cetera. What I like to do is quantify the flywheel. So we put numbers on it. I'm an engineer by training. And so we've got one gallery that we sell, one unit gallery, art gallery. They're bringing in on average 4.5 artists, but then we've got this very cool dynamic where artists have multiple galleries that represent them. They've got 1.7 galleries, or 1.7 galleries per artist. So galleries onboard artists, who onboard other galleries, who onboard other artists, who onboard other galleries. And so we've been quantifying and measuring this flywheel, which is really cool, and creates a network effect. So these are the 2 insights that I would share for current and would-be founders in raising capital. Oh yes, and Peggy is exclusive. You can get access here at TechTO. You can use this code at the bottom, so you can download Peggy. It is an app for Android and iOS, peggy.com/app. And then we have an invitation code here, which I encourage you to use to get exclusive access. And we'll welcome questions.
Does that get you a discount on the art?
No, but you can resell it.
All right, we're gonna do some questions. We got the first question over here. Looks like an artist.
A philosopher. Yeah. How did you come up with the name Peggy?
So Peggy is this wonderful, what I like to call empty vessel, in the way that BlackBerry took on meaning, Apple took on meaning. So Peggy is a word that takes on meaning. We can noun it and verb it. We have pegboards and we have pegcasts. And there also may be a little bit of a nod to Peggy Guggenheim, who's a famous art collector.
Did I understand this correctly that you are working with upcoming artists as well? It's not like Masterworks where you can buy and sell established art from established artists.
Great question. Thank you for asking. Yeah, so Peggy is with emerging and mid-career artists. It is also physical art. So you get to own the art, enjoy it in your home, put it up on your wall as a literal oil and canvas painting. Whereas Masterworks, which is also wonderful, is a fractionalization of a blue chip, usually deceased artist like a Picasso. So you don't put it in your house, you own a sliver of it like a share, and it may appreciate in value. So with Peggy, it is the physical, is more like owning the real estate and living in it and getting to enjoy it, whereas Masterworks is more like a real estate investment trust.
Just have a quick question. Do you work with Park West Gallery, for example? They're really a major distributor of art and authentic art, or basically...
Not yet.
Not yet,
Yeah.
because I'm a collector and I would love to be able to sell my art at the value that I bought it at. So.
Amazing.
The flywheel.
Wow, here we go.
How many galleries will that get you? How many artists will that get you exactly?
We have to check the roster usually.
Plug it into the flywheel.
Yeah, galleries usually have a
Do we have one last question?
I'll ask a question. It's Alex again.
Please.
So it's interesting. You're trying to quantify the flywheel. How have you done that? Because, anytime I see that as an investor, I'm like, okay, this is bullshit. So how have you actually got numbers behind? Give the insight to founders here.
Yeah, I guess just tracking data. It's really exciting to be building a startup in 2022, where we've got segment instrumented in Snowflake, and we can plug that into Amplitude. And so we have these real-time dashboards that are kicking out information, which is really exciting. So it's kind of like a marketing and data tech stack. Another question here?
The last question comes from the audience, Alex.
Yeah, so Simba here again. You mentioned earlier Sotheby's and Christie's and some of the big auction houses. And for those who are familiar with them, then a lot of the authenticators, the auctioneers, are the people that add a lot of value to that art because people trust their experience, they trust that they know what they're doing. So I'm wondering, from a digital perspective, how do you create the prestige for your artists, or yourselves being the authenticators and the AI being the authenticators? How do you add the story that the customer can now understand why this is valuable?
Yeah, I love that. It all begins with the gallery and the artist. So the artist actually KYCs themselves. We know it's them. Know your customer. They identity verify, and then they create the authentication, what we call fingerprint. They create the digital fingerprint, and then from there it can change hands an infinite number of times from one collector to the next. And so that's a story and journey of the artwork in and of itself, kind of in a transactional basis. But I really love that you mentioned storytelling, because that's where we have Pegcasts, which is a cute way of saying a podcast that lives within the app, and it's an interview with the artist, because then you can connect with the art on an emotional level, and that really adds to the kind of like the journey of the art as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.